Mel, I'd like to talk to you next. How have things been with you? How has the business been since, we last spoke last year? Maybe you want to share with us your journey since then.
Sure. So of course we started 1Export because we wanted to help small and medium businesses export, right? The pandemic has really brought a lot of challenges for small and medium businesses, especially with retail being closed down, right? Almost shut down completely. A lot of them relying on online and deliveries, right? And so a lot of small and medium businesses needed a channel, which was exports, right? There is a study where 47% of the time that you buy from Amazon or eBay, you're probably buying it from cross-border, right? And I think that was something that we really took advantage of. So I guess the first years when we were starting the business, we were thinking about the right product to build, and we realized that one of them is e-commerce exporting, right? But over the last year, we have focused on growing the business, right? Not just growing in terms of sales or revenues and the number of customers we onboard, but growing sustainably, right? Because of course, the pandemic also means that you don't necessarily have funding at whenever you want it, right? So you have to make sure that you have cash flows. You have to make sure that your operations are sustainable, and even with the lockdowns, right, that everybody in your staff is safe and safe from COVID, right? So a lot of it is really about moving digitally, but also making sure that we're able to grow, but not sacrificing a lot of our margins. And so far, it's been very successful. Like we've had this approach where we make sure everyone is safe, but we will make sure that we're able to hit targets. And we've so far hit our targets because we are digital, but we also realize that we are focusing on a particular need our customers want, and we've been so growing very fast so far.
Thank you very much, Mel. I can sense the excitement in your voice. Yeah. At some stage, in the whole entrepreneurial journey, it goes beyond just trying to make the business work, right? It's the whole back end and your staff, and especially in this environment, how can you keep everyone safe while still ensuring that you can meet the targets that you set for each and every one of the team? So thank you so much for sharing. Quite a number of our participants here would be aspiring entrepreneurs. Yeah. You will be the first to share with us in terms of what skill sets and mindsets do you think women entrepreneurs need to have in the digital economy? If they want to go online, they want to embark on e-commerce, what type of skill sets and mindsets do you think they would need?
Okay, I guess three things. First is the ability to listen to your customers, right? So first, when 1Export started, actually, we weren't even sure if we were going to be digital. We wanted to be, initially we started off as a consulting company for people that want to export. And eventually people, there was a clamor for people telling us, why don't you try and scale this? Because a lot of small and medium enterprises want to avail of your services, right? So first, it's the ability to listen to your customers. Second is to be able to grow sustainably, right? Especially for female founders, and especially at the time of the pandemic, you don't necessarily get funding, right? It is not readily available. People will not give it to you if you do not have a track record, right? So I think the second part is like, given the current customer base that you have, how sure are you that you will be able to grow, right? Because we have to always assume, of course, the best, mid case and worst case scenario, but always assume the worst case. Assume that you will not necessarily get funding, you will not necessarily have payroll for the next day. So how are you able to build that cash flow, right? And lastly, I think it's important for us to not just think local, but go global, right? It's not, whether you are starting a small business selling bags, for example, or if you want to create your own platform, right? You have to understand that your customers are not just people in your locality, right? There will be other customers, say abroad, that will try and avail of your services or products, right? And how are you able to take advantage of that and serve those customers, right? It's important to be able to have all of these three mindsets, I believe, in order for you to grow, because of course, digital is not just about when we used to think where we were only going to serve our local communities, that's no longer the case now, right? We need to be able to grow when we grow digitally, it's not just about growing within your community, but growing worldwide? And how will you be able to adapt to those challenges?
Thank you very much, Mel. So let me try to summarize quickly what she just shared. One is really you need to listen to the needs of your customers. Yeah? And after you've identified the opportunity, how can you grow it sustainably? And of course, you know, all our entrepreneurs here think big. You know, whether it's regionally, globally, think big. Don't be afraid to think big. Go beyond your local borders and boundaries. Thanks so much for sharing.